Have you ever had one moment, one single, heart-stopping second, that changed the entire trajectory of your life? A moment where the floor seems to drop out from under you, and you're certain everything is about to shatter. That's exactly where this story begins, and trust me, by the end of it, you'll understand why every struggle, every tear, was worth it. So, grab a cozy drink, get comfortable, and make sure you're subscribed because this is a story about the incredible, invisible threads that connect us, and the miracles that happen when they finally pull tight. The clatter of the ancient pickup truck's engine was a familiar, grumbling soundtrack to Liam's life. In the passenger seat, tucked into a booster seat that was slightly too small for her, was his entire world, 7-year-old Chloe. Her small hands, smudged with crayon, were folded in her lap, and her eyes, the exact same shade of sea green as her mother's, were wide with a solemnity that no child should possess. "Are we rich today, Daddy?" she asked, her voice small. Liam's heart, a heavy, tender thing in his chest, gave a familiar squeeze. He forced a smile, the lines around his eyes deepening. "We're rich in the important things, Bug. We've got each other, don't we?" The important things were getting harder to hold on to. The rent on their cramped apartment was 2 weeks late, the final notice from the electric company was burning a hole in his pocket, and his job as a janitor at a high-tech firm, a job he was profoundly grateful for, barely covered the basics. But tonight was a sacred tradition. Friday night at the Starlight Diner, a place where the chrome was chipped, the vinyl booths were cracked, but the milkshakes were thick and the fries were golden. It was a sliver of normalcy, a tiny island of light in the encroaching darkness of their financial reality. He watched her, his little girl, as she meticulously studied the menu she had long since memorized. He saw the way her worn sneakers didn't quite touch the floor, the careful way she patched the tear in her favorite Stuffy's ear with a band-aid. He was failing her. The thought was a constant, gnawing companion. He was a landscaper by trade, his hands meant to feel soil and nurture growth, but the back injury 2 years ago had stolen that future, leaving him with a persistent ache and a pile of medical debt. He'd give anything, to see her laugh without that shadow in her eyes. He was just about to ask if she'd decided between the grilled cheese or the pancakes for dinner, their special luxury, when it happened. 1 second, Chloe was a quiet presence beside him, the next, she was a blur of motion. She slid from the booth with a sudden, shocking urgency, her small feet slapping against the checkered linoleum floor. "Chloe," he called out, his voice tight with panic. But she didn't turn. She was running, weaving through the tables, a determined little missile heading straight for the diner's most secluded, most opulent corner booth. Liam's blood ran cold. That booth was occupied by a man who screamed, out of place. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Liam's truck, his posture was one of relaxed, powerful authority, and a sleek, expensive phone was on the table beside his untouched coffee. Alexander Vance. Liam recognized him instantly. He was the billionaire owner of the very tech firm where Liam pushed a mop every night. The man was a legend, a ghost, a face in the corporate newsletters. And Chloe was running right for him. 1,000 terrifying scenarios flashed through Liam's mind. Was she going to accidentally spill something on him? Beg for money? His face flushed with a hot wave of humiliation and fear. He scrambled out of the booth, his own movements clumsy with dread. "Chloe, stop. I'm so sorry, sir," he started to say, his voice strangled as he closed in. But Chloe didn't stop. She skidded to a halt right beside Alexander Vance's table, her small chest heaving. And then, she did the unthinkable. She pointed a tiny, accusatory finger at the Billionaire'S phone and screamed a single, shattering word that tore through the quiet hum of the diner. "Mom." The world stopped. The clatter of plates, the murmur of conversations, the hiss of the coffee machine, it all faded into a high-pitched ringing in Liam's ears. He stared, his mind refusing to process the scene. Alexander Vance, a man known for his icy composure, looked utterly stunned. His sharp, calculating eyes were wide, fixed on the hysterical little girl now sobbing and reaching for his phone. "Mom, I want to talk to Mom." "That's her. On your phone," Chloe cried, her small body trembling with the force of her sobs. Liam finally reached her, his hands shaking as he tried to gently pull her away. "Chloe, baby, no, that's not, you're confused." His voice was a broken whisper. The pain was a physical thing, a knife twisting in the old wound of his loss. Chloe's mother, Alara, had left when Chloe was just a baby. She'd written a single, heartbreaking note about feeling trapped, about needing to find herself, and then she had vanished without a trace. There had been no calls, no letters, no child support. It was a grief Liam had learned to carry, a hollow space in their lives he had tried to fill with twice the love. But Alexander Vance wasn't looking at Liam. He was looking at Chloe, a strange, unreadable expression on his face. He slowly, deliberately, picked up his phone. On the screen was a paused video call. The face frozen. There was indeed a beautiful woman with laughing eyes and flowing dark hair. Is your mother's name Alara? Alexander asked, his voice low and strangely thick. Chloe, encouraged by his response, nodded vigorously, tears streaming down her cheeks. Yes, Alara. You know her. Where is she? Does she have a new little girl? Does she not love me anymore? The questions, voiced with such raw, childish pain, broke something open in the diner. Liam felt the air leave his lungs. It couldn't be. It was a coincidence, a cruel trick of the light. Alexander Vance looked from Chloe's desperate, hopeful face to Liam's shattered one. He gestured to the empty seat opposite him. Please, he said, and for the first time, his voice held no trace of command, only a profound, weary sadness. Sit down. What unfolded over the next hour, in that cracked vinyl booth under the dim glow of the Starlight Diner's sign, was a story Liam could never have imagined. Alexander Vance, the untouchable billionaire, began to speak. He spoke of meeting a vibrant, restless woman named Alara 3 years ago. He spoke of a whirlwind romance, of her incredible artistic talent and her deep, unspoken sadness. He confessed that she had rarely spoken of her past, only alluding to a terrible mistake she could never fix. She was the love of my life, Alexander said, his gaze distant. We were engaged. But she became ill. A rare, aggressive form of cancer. She fought for a year, but, he paused, swallowing hard, and looked at Chloe. She passed away 6 months ago. The diner seemed to tilt on its axis. Alara wasn't living a glamorous life, forgetting them. She was gone. The hope that had flickered in Liam's heart, the hope that she might one day return, that she might explain, that she might help, was extinguished, replaced by a vast, complicated sorrow. But she left something for you, Alexander continued, his eyes glistening. He pulled out his wallet and removed a carefully folded, worn piece of paper. It was a child's drawing, clearly done by a very young hand. It showed 3 stick figures, a tall one labeled, Daddy, a medium one labeled, Mommy, and a small one with a yellow crayon sun above them. She kept this with her always. In her final days, she made me promise that if I ever, by some miracle, found you, I would give this to you. She said she wasn't strong enough to be the mother you deserved, but she loved you more than anything. She wanted you to have a stable, happy life, and she was too ashamed to come back after the way she left. Chloe took the drawing, her small fingers tracing the faded crayon lines of the mommy figure. She didn't fully understand death, but she understood love, and she understood that her mom had loved her. She curled into Liam's side, the sobs quieter now, a release of a lifetime of wondering. Alexander looked at Liam, truly looked at him, seeing the worn jacket, the calloused hands, the profound fatigue in his eyes. He saw the janitorial company logo on his shirt, the same one that serviced his own building. You work for me, he stated, not as an accusation, but as a realization. Liam could only nod, holding his daughter tightly, his own tears finally falling, mingling with Chloe's hair. That night was the fulcrum, the single moment that changed everything. But this isn't just a story about a billionaire writing a check. It's about redemption, about the families we make and the ones we find. Alexander Vance, a man who had everything, realized he had nothing of true value, no one to share his life with, no legacy of love. In Liam, he saw a strength he admired. In Chloe, he saw the ghost of the woman he loved, and a chance for a future. He didn't just give them money. He became a part of their lives. He used his resources to get Liam the best medical specialists, who finally fixed his back. He invested in Liam's dream, the small landscaping business he had always wanted to start. Vance & Sons Landscaping and Design now thrives, its first partner not a son, but a determined, hard-working single dad. Alexander became Uncle Alex, the man who showed up for school plays, who helped with science projects, who told Chloe stories about her mother that painted her not as a villain, but as a flawed, beautiful human being who made a terrible mistake but never stopped loving her. He filled a different kind of hole, not as a replacement, but as an addition. So, you see, that terrifying moment in the diner, when a little girl's heart led her on a desperate run, wasn't an end. It was a beginning. It was about healing a billionaire's lonely heart and securing a father's desperate future. It taught Liam that his love was always enough, and it taught Chloe that she was always, fiercely loved by both her parents, in their own complicated ways. Their story is a testament to the fact that our darkest struggles can be the very path to our brightest days. It's a reminder to never, ever underestimate the power of a child's love, or the unexpected ways that life can mend what is broken. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope is never truly lost, then do me a favor, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel. Because everyone has a story, and sometimes, sharing them is how we find our own little bit of starlight in the darkness. Thanks for watching.